looking for food, eating from trash, wherever you can find food to eat. That will just be
Eating from
survival.
trash.
Yeah, I've eaten from trash. I've eaten the back of what do you call it, eggshells for
Wow.
survival. Yeah, I've eaten that. I remember. This is really where the story gets juicy. He called and he was like, I heard that you need to leave the country, but you don't have money for your ticket. I said, yeah. He was like, here's what I will do for you. I will book your ticket with my company money, and then whenever you have the money, you can pay me back.
Do you know this person?
That's what I'm saying. I've never met him too. What? Now I have to preach Jesus that I don't even believe.
So again, so I'm guessing at this point you're probably about 7, 8 years old. If you
7, 8 years.
Wow. And so when you say you run away and you're living on the streets, what do you mean on the street? Like,
hey, Jesus loves you. Like what people do when they go on outreach. So my response to him, I was like, does your Jesus have food?
Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Tommy Daniels. And I've got a very special guest today, as you can see, and I'm going to introduce him in a bit. But before I do that, please subscribe to my channel. I film about faith, relationships, travel, property, everything. There's definitely something that you would enjoy here. So today's a really exciting video, and it's about faith, and I'm so excited to get into today's conversation with my special guest. So the special guest I have today is, I first heard about, met him and actually heard this story, his testimony actually, last year, and it was actually in the same room, right here, and I was and I was in tears, and honestly, then being able to spend more time with him this weekend and just listening to him share his testimony, the things, and just listening to the heart of God for people right now has been so amazing. Anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm gonna stop now. But his story from like going from the streets, literal streets of northern Nigeria, living on the streets, and being found by Jesus through food. It's just so amazing, and it just shows the power of saying yes to God. And so, without much further ado, I present to you Ezekiel Samaila.
Thank you so much.
Please give a clap in the comment section.
Thank you so much for having me and listening to us, and again, subscribe to the YouTube for
Thank you.
Amazing videos coming your way. But I'm happy to be here and to share some of my story with you guys.
Thank you so much. So you heard what he said, subscribe and like this. I know you're gonna like it, but just like it now. You already like it. Okay, so I'm going to be asking you some questions just to sort of guide the conversation. So can you give us a bit of your background? I already mentioned that living on the street. How did you get on? Is it Katsina?
I'm from Katsina, but it's in Kaduna.
Kaduna, yeah. How did you get to living on the streets?
So just to give a little context, I was born in Katsina State, just somewhere in the middle of the desert, far away from anything civilization. And when I was a little boy, my parents wanted me to go to school. So since I come from the poorest of the poor, and also my parents had never been to school, my dad really wanted me to have an education, something he never had himself. But in order to do that, he asked another family in Kaduna to receive me with the hope that they will pay for my education. And in return, I'm to do all of the domestic housework for them. But that didn't go well.
So how old were you at this time when you went to the family?
I think I was about 5, 6 years old.
Wow. So 5 years old, you're going to do like domestic
5, 6, 7 years. Yeah, I was very little. Yeah, very young. Yeah. But that didn't really go well. They didn't keep to their promise. So I kind of suffered different form and expressions of abuse. And at some point, I just couldn't take it. So I think after 2, 3 years, I ran away.
Wow.
And so that's why I end up on the street somewhere in Kaduna.
I don't want to forget this, but do you still remember the family? Have you met them after?
Ever since I left till today, I have never met them. Oh, wow. But interestingly, I still remember the name of the street and also the number of the house till today. I just don't want to say it on camera. Yeah.
Why you haven't gone there?
I haven't been back. I think it was one time that I just passed like the area, not even the street. I think I was traveling somewhere from Abuja to Kaduna. Yeah.
Okay, so you ran away. So again, so I'm guessing at this point you were probably about 7, 8 years old. If you
Yeah,
still,
7, 8
8
years,
Wow.
9, I think.
And so when you say you ran away and you're living on the streets, what do you mean on the street? Like what does that mean?
Okay, so for the sake of international audience who may not have full picture of what that is, it's about just wondering, like, you know, in some part of the world you have street kids, which I think is not in news to anyone listening. And in northern Nigeria, you also have, of course, a lot of street kids, but then in addition, you have the almajiris, the one who with a bowl kind of going around to beg for food and all of that. So that means you're just really like on your own and catering for yourself, your mom, your dad, everything to yourself. But that means also you're vulnerable and exposed to all kinds of abuses from other people because nobody is there to like defend you. And so you're just looking for food, eating from trash, wherever you can find food to eat. That was just for
eating
survival.
From trash.
Yeah, I've eaten from trash. I've eaten the back of, what do you call it, eggshells for survival. Yeah, I've eaten that. I remember. Like,
my God. So where were you sleeping?
Wherever the night catches you. I know it sounds funny. Wherever the night catches up with you. I think where I sleep were not my problem. But food, you know, like my major.
I mean, for you to say that you were eating the back of the shell
of eggs, yeah. At some point, yeah, because again, you just want to eat food and survive. So that's why I was telling you, like, for me, to dream or to even have aspiration, it was something I never had because it was like a luxury that I can't even afford.
Yeah.
So all I ever thought was just like 3 meals a day and then where to sleep, you know. But once the meal is taken care of, so wherever the night come, you squeeze yourself, you just sleep in, and you're sharing this kind of experience with other broken kids like yourself. And I'm even too traumatized and too broken to be thinking about like other things as a kid, like dreams and all of that. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, you need to like.
I get what you're saying.
Clarification, you need to ask me so that
because as you're saying it, like even though I've heard you share it, well, not at every single thing you said, but I've heard this like a few times, and even as I'm listening, I'm still getting emotional because and I think it brings it in context because you realize that there's still people like that, many people around the world in the nations of the world that are still in those conditions today, and they just need me, you watching to just go out and be the light and help. But anyway, that's
well put. That's really well put. Yeah.
Okay, so you were on the streets for how long were you on the streets?
About 2 years. I
2
think
years?
2+ years. Yeah.
Okay.
2+ years. Yeah.
And then what happened?
Good question. So one day, missionaries from one of the mission organizations in Kaduna were going on their weekly evangelism. So one of them approached me to tell me that, hey, Jesus loves you, like what people do when they go on outreach. So my response to him, I was like, does your Jesus have food?
I was because this missionary was this the Dutch missionary?
No, this was a later one. This was the Nigerians and some other.
Okay.
But
so I was gonna say like how do they understand?
Mix. Okay. Yeah, it was a mix of international organizations. This particular person that
was Nigerian.
Okay. Yeah.
The person does Jesus have food? Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So he was. So I asked, does your Jesus have food? So he looked at me and was like, if you walk back to the location where we're from, I can give you my lunch to eat. And I was like, of course, I can walk back with you. So
that even sounds like that was his own lunch that he gave to you.
Yeah, it was his lunch.
It didn't sound like he had much either.
No, he didn't actually. So I think it was later I found out because I think he, for some reason that I don't know, that he couldn't get to eat his own lunch before they left for the outreach. But now that I think about it, I think it was just how God provided for me.
So he probably wouldn't have been able to offer you anything.
Exactly. So maybe he would have said no. But then he remembered he didn't eat his lunch. So that's why he said, if you walk back with me, I'll give you my lunch. So he mean literally his own lunch.
Yeah. So and again, it's putting things in context the more I think about it. Like even when you think about missionaries, that people that just go like sold out and how like indeed we're all part of the body. So even if we are not going out to be the missionaries, it could be our finance, our fund that is going out. Because I'm just thinking for him not to have something to have given you. If he had eaten that, he probably wouldn't have been able to offer you. It also tells you that he didn't even have like much of. They didn't have much there. And I'm just going to post at this point to get you to begin to think of how you can support and spread the gospel right where you are. For you, it may not be to actually go physically, and it may be that as well, but it could be your finances, it could be other things. But anyway, we'll get into all of that.
We'll get into that later. We already preaching.
I know, right?
Preaching.
Okay, so you walk back with him, he got you lunch, and then
he was like, later in the evening, if you're hungry, you can come back for food. Of course, I went back. And just a key thing for you to know, where I didn't really know that they were like Christians. All I cared for was the food. And they opened the door for me to come and receive that. And I went back, and that evening he was like, hey, whenever you're hungry, feel free to come back and eat. And I was like, I'm going to be here every day. I may not like your Jesus, but I love your food.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you're doing that for, how long were you doing that for before they, because I know at some point they asked you to
I did it
join the fellowship.
for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then one day he came to me and he was like, do you want to stay with us? And I was like, you're going to give me food, and then you're going to give me a place to sleep? I was like, as I mentioned earlier, like I never like to dream, to have aspirations. These were luxury that I couldn't even afford. So I never really mentally have an imagination of what I want to be in that sense. But if this counts as dreams or aspirations, the only two I had was food to eat, 3 meals a day, and at least a place to sleep.
And so
Jesus offered me all I needed. You know, I joke about it sometimes, but I say, very often that you meet people and you fulfill all of their life problems,
in one
go,
instance.
in one instance. But with me, I think it was easy. So they fulfilled that. So I stayed. And it was later that I found a Jesus, or the Jesus found me.
We're going to come to that. You actually found Jesus.
Yeah, but it was that invitation that opened the pathway for me to really get to encounter, to stay. Yeah, okay. Let me not go ahead of you. Okay. Yeah.
So I remember, again, because I've listened to your story before, but I remember when you talked about how there was a particular encounter where you were speaking to someone about Jesus, because you had learned the lingo of being in the mission house and all of that. And then the person started crying, but you didn't even believe in Jesus. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I'm telling you that. That's it's a really funny story, but also a really tangible one. So, when I was staying in this environment, I think at some point there was the assumption that it's like, I believe I'm a Christian, I'm going through this intense discipleship. But deep down for me, I was like, it was really the food that was keeping me. The Jesus, I was kind of messed up, too broken to really get into.
So were you, sorry to call you, so were you a Muslim? What would you say prior to that? I mean, considering that you came from northern Nigeria.
I come from a mishmash kind of family, meaning that there's animists, there's Muslims, and then my mom actually go to a Catholic church, so that's actually where I got the name. I remember my dad wanted us to have an education, so we're given English names that I didn't even know how to pronounce, but that's by the way. So I was going through this discipleship program. Like, I was hearing a lot about Jesus, learning about Jesus, just that I just didn't believe in it. And at some point we have to go on outreach, where now we share the gospel with other people. Yeah. So we went to one of these states somewhere, and so one of my colleagues now said, "Oh, Ezekiel is a former Muslim," because the motorcycle guy that carried used to do that in Nigeria. He was like, he was a former Muslim that is not a Christian. So the guy was like, "I would love to come and hear about Jesus from his perspective." All right. So that was not my friend setting me. I felt like, why did you do that? Why? Now I have to preach Jesus that I didn't even believe. So the guy was really interested. So he came back that evening, and now I have the task of having to tell him about Jesus that I don't believe. But the good thing is that, as I said, I have listened and learned so much about Jesus. Yeah. So I just repeated what I have heard people say about Jesus, and what I've listened to my friend when they evangelize and say. I mean, this guy was really crying, weeping, and he just gave his life to Jesus. He was so moved. And also, I think it's important to note that I was just 12 years old at this point. Right, so it's just hearing about Jesus from a kid. Yeah. And I think in some way, this also played a lot of role and all of that anyway. And God touched his life, and I did that throughout the outreach period. Because people were just, let the kid tell us about Jesus. So now I have to really evangelize and just share about Jesus that I have heard about, but I don't know personally. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
that story.
That's
With
really
many, so
interesting.
I was evangelizing about Jesus even
That
before
you believed in him.
before I believed in him. You know,
Okay.
so it makes sense now. I
Now
did
you
what
do
I
what you
did.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's come to actually meeting Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
When did you meet Jesus? How did you meet Jesus? And how long after you'd been in like this environment, the mission house? How long after did you actually meet
I think it was
Jesus?
about 3 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it
I
was
was
about
not thought it
3
was
years.
that long. Okay.
No, it was like again. Remember, like I was also coming with a lot of identity crisis, coming from the street. So there was a lot of trauma, healing process, counseling to even made me first believe that my life really mattered. So there was a lot of journey that I needed to go through before I even walk into the part of believing. You know what I mean? And so that took a long time. So plus I wasn't really interested. I was just also very stubborn teenager who just messed up, Just to add that this part to it.
And at this point you already like they were taking you through school.
Yeah, now going through school.
So fun fact, Ezekiel didn't actually start learning to read or write until he was around 14, 15.
Yeah. So first time
and
I learned
now
to
he has 2 degrees.
I have 2 degrees, yeah. So what was okay? How did my life to Jesus? Yeah. So one day, because when I was on the street, I've always wanted to die because I say with the brokenness and all of that. And so one of these days, I sat down and during the discipleship program, every week we have different speakers that come to talk about different topics about God, like hearing God's voice, God's heart for the nations, evangelism, Father heart of God, etc. And each of these speakers that come every week, they always have a prophecy for me. Like they looked at me and it was like, I have a prophecy for you. It's like, okay, here goes the famous sentence again, as usual. It's like I've memorized because and it was the same thing, word for word, almost sometimes. Like God is gonna send you to the nations. You're gonna talk about identity, hope, love, forgiveness, restoration. It was a whole list. So every week, so I figure, and so in my head, I'm thinking, I come from the poorest of the poor. How convenient of you to be prophesying that I'm going to travel the world and all of that. So, just to be fair, where I'm coming from has every right to make me think that this is just fake, not true. And so one day after this whole program, it took 6 months actually, including the outreach. And I sat down and I was just thinking of suicide because for me, I still haven't catch the reason why I'm existing. And so I was thinking of suicide, but then suddenly this word, so prophetic words that I've heard, or people praying for me started kind of flooding through my mind as like kind of like the questions. Like I was just recently like, oh, maybe God has a plan for my life. Maybe this prophetic word is true. So I was kind of wrestling with that. So I just told Jesus, like, you know what? You have the next 2 weeks to really, like, if you're real, you're true, what I've heard, then you have to be the one who really speaks to me in a way that I know it's you. However you want to do that, that's up to you. So I was like, you have to...
You gave Jesus an assignment.
I gave him an ultimatum. Can you imagine? Oh, Jesus. Jesus has been suffering from her hand. Anyway, he's just been so kind. It didn't take Jesus 2 weeks. It took him just 2 days, or was it 3 days? So I had a dream, and in my dream, Jesus came to me. And he came to me actually as a friend. Typically a lot of people that come from like a Muslim background, community, oftentimes Jesus appearing to people in a dream, light, and so forth. You can find a lot of stories like that online. And I think in my case, he came to me as a friend. Not in that fullness of light that I know. It was a different reality. And it was somebody that we spoke, and listened to me and just spoke into my life, my identity, and answered a lot of questions that I had. And then also spoke those prophetic words that I have been receiving. So he sat down. But towards the end, he looked at me and he was like, I want to send you to the nations and to do all this and that. But first, I want you to open your heart to receive the healing, the love, the forgiveness, and all of this thing. And also, if you're willing and available for me. So these are like, I mean, it was a lot of other things, but just.
And this was all in the dream?
It was all in the dream. The dream lasted. One night? Yeah, the dream lasted a whole night. Oh. So even when I wake up to use the restroom, when I go back to sleep, the dream will continue from where it stopped. So that was very unusual. I never had that kind of dream before. And so when I woke up that morning, and for the first time in my life, I felt it was as if like a spirit left. You know, I wake up with a sense of purpose. Yeah. It's like questioning, why do I want to kill myself? You know, it's like suddenly I realized that there was something that I could live for and lay down my life for. You know, it's like, and so when I also thought, so I was thinking, because, you know, from Northern Nigeria, what could it mean to give my life to Jesus? This could cost my life, Yeah. But I was like, look, I wanted to die. I have attempted suicide several times. If embracing Jesus would cost me my life, at least I'm dying with a purpose. Yeah. And I'm dying with a reason. So that's how I gave my life to Jesus that morning after I woke up. And that journey has been very transformational till today.
Oh, that's amazing. And to think that you'd been in an environment of hearing about Jesus for 3 years, day in, day out, not just that's all, like it was a mission house, as you said, and yet you actually added at that relationship. It kind of just goes to show that, again, for people that think, and maybe particularly, I'm speaking more particularly to younger people or people that grew up like in a Christian household, for instance, where you are required to do these things, and sometimes you automatically think, oh, because I go to church, that means I'm a Christian. No, like you actually need to make that decision for Jesus.
So that's what I would often say. You might have heard me say it a few times that proximity doesn't always guarantee encounter or doesn't always translate to encounter. And sometimes we have the assumption because somebody has the proximity to Jesus, you're in church, seeing Holy Spirit move, people getting slain and like just having an encounter, and then we assume that there are people who can be there but actually still don't know Jesus. So at some point you still have to make that commitment to choose to follow him yourself, and Jesus will never force himself on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know you've traveled to about like 50 countries.
That's right.
How did you go from your family being the poorest of the poorest, and now like seeing those prophecies be, I mean, the reason why you're actually here this weekend is part of the fulfillment of that prophecy, because he was ministering at our church this weekend. So how did that come about?
I think I'll just try to concise that very quickly. First, with the education, you know, it was just the way I learned through it and right because of the teacher who really impacted my life. I'm just so moved by that woman.
Yeah, I am too. And actually, when we're, so this is sidebar from the meeting we had yesterday. So when you were saying like, you know, we should get in groups and stuff and talk about like, you know, what we've learned, that was for me that really stuck out to me, like the teacher that was you know,
willing,
so after like school or whatever, she would spend like 4 or 5 hours, and it just made me think of because I currently lead the youth, and it just made me think about them, and I thought like, you know what, this is like an ample opportunity that there are people there that need that extra, like beyond like whatever is our requirement of being there like on a Sunday or whatever. Like there are people that really need reaching out, because she knew what she was doing. She knew like it was just beyond like the maths and English or whatever it is that she was teaching. But tell us about that.
And she spoke into my life. Like this, sometimes I get a lot emotional on this part of this one, because she really...
So have you met her?
I always meet her whenever I'm in Jos, when I'm in Nigeria.
I'm sure she was so...
Yeah, she's so proud of me. You know, it's like, she's like a mom to me in that sense, you know. And so and like she just gave me access to her life and to her family, and took me in that. And I have the privilege of a lot of incredible people that have impacted my life. She's just one person that I'm really highlighting because of time, you know. What was it?
You were saying that the teacher, you were talking about how...
Oh, how I got here. Sorry, I'm just trying to track now. So what happened was, I learned through it. I finished my school, also 2 degrees now. And one day, I think it was in Abuja, we had a meeting. And we had a speaker that came from the US, and he was just talking about global missions But it was, of course, it was amazing. But something that really caught my attention is how he was talking about nations in passing in his sharing. You know, it was like something like, oh, like last week I was teaching in Bangladesh, and you know, God did this, and after that I went to Hong Kong, and I was in England, and I was like India, and the way those countries were being zigzagged. So in my brain, I was like, there was just something that was being awakened in me. Like, okay, I've been prophesied about going to the nations, and for the longest time, because I think of the limitation of resources and finances, so I'm like, it's either he's having the right God that is providing for him, or my mentality somewhere is wrong, that I need some breakthrough, or he is wrong, I am right. But I was like, whatever it is, I like what he has. You know, this guy. So I remember I went back to Joe's when on my quiet time. I was like, Lord, today I'm not here to really pray. I'm here that we talk, you know? And it's like, so how are we going to make this thing happen? Like, I'm ready. And so after that prayer, I came down. I was just thinking, well, if I want to go to the nation, the first thing that I need is international passport. I've never been to the airport prior to that. You know, I've never seen a landed plane, or you know, parked plane, or whatever you say in that sense. And so when I sold my Android phone and I did an international.
You sold your phone?
Yeah. Okay. So my phone, because for me at that point, that was the priority. So actually for almost 2 years, I didn't have a phone.
Oh, wow.
I only have international passport. So I often say that was the longest transit I ever had in my life. Because I have my international passport. Every day I walked into my room, I looked at it, I tell myself that I'm on transit. You know? Like my destination.
Sorry, I'm going to pause you right here. It's just, again, just speaking to the about partnership with God, because I'm sure there's so many people, even those watching right now, who there have been prophecies, there have been promises that God has made, or things over their life, and sometimes we just sit back and think, oh, I don't know, if God wants to do it, he will do it. Like, and we don't realize that there's actually a part that we need to play apart from the saying yes, but there's actual actions to take. I.e., for instance, that was a step of faith for you to sell your phone and then say, I have my passport, I'm ready. Like, that's amazing.
That's really a good word that you put, because again, God is in partnership with us. He want to do things with us, and there's a part that you can play, and there's a part that only he can play. So it's like a partnership in business. Only one side that is bringing to, you know, at some point that won't be sustainable.
Then it's not a partnership.
It's not a partnership, exactly. And God want to work with us in partnership, in friendship. Yes, he's highly, now I'm speaking German. he's holy, he's mighty, but at the same time he's personal. You know. Anyway, on that note, and every evening I will be writing emails to different organizations, like the organization I work with. So I'll be sending some of our location, all part of the world, like different part. I will borrow some of my friends' phone, log into my Gmail, send emails, and then the next day I borrow another person's phone to check my email. And I was doing that for these 2 years while I was just waiting. And then one of our locations in Germany, they wrote back, they replied, and they were like, yeah, we pray over your application. We feel like this is the right place for you to come. So I did, and I sent them a follow-up email. And I was like, just because at this point I've gotten too many no's that I was like, it was almost normal. I'm like, but I was just not discouraged. I'm like, if it means to email all the locations of this particular organization, and if all of them say no, then I know I've tried. So I've sent to hundreds of them, no. But this one replied, and I sent a follow email to say, look, I just want to make sure that with the financial part of the question, you kind of understood what I said. You know, they were like, yeah, we did. Because they asked 2 questions when it comes to finances. How much percentage of money do you have towards your fee and all of that? And if you put the percentage, then the second question is, how do you intend to raise the remaining or the rest? So to the first question, I put 0%, literally 0%. And then to the second question, I wrote, trusting God for the remaining.
By remaining, you mean all of it?
Yeah, all of it. So that's literally what I did. Long story short, and they were like, I was like, are they blind? These are Germans, you know, European, you know. Like, they were like, yeah, come, we can trust God together. And so like, but we need 100 euros from you so we can send you a visa invitation later because the embassy need a original copy.
Okay.
Which I don't have. I mean, I don't even have a phone, let alone 100 euros. You get? But one of my friends was getting married, so her parents were in Germany.
Okay.
I'm like, can you please give them the letters to bring for me? So that saved me the 100 euros. So that's how I got that, and we're applying. One of my friends in the US, bless his heart, just helping me fill all the application because I have no phone, no internet. So he was doing that and filling me in what he's doing. And so I had to go to Lagos. So my interview from Kaduna was a whole different story. I had no money. I was just in the bus going to Lagos. By the time it arrived Lagos, I didn't even know where I was going to go to sleep and all of that. So
where did you sleep?
I called one of our locations then. That was the Lakey area. But I don't have transport from where the bus dropped me off to get to that place. Yeah. So I was just blackmailing my friends. Like, if you don't send me 1,000 naira, I'll be stranded in Lagos. You know. So that's how I think I got like about 5,000. So I got my passport photograph for the embassy, and then the next day I went to the German embassy. So if you see my first visa, I look like I just got out of prison or something. Sorry. I think I just got out of prison. It's like my eyes were red. I don't know. Anyway, that's not to say people who got out of prison looks like that. I don't know, but it was like, that it looks so confined. Anyway, and I went miraculously. I got a long-term visa from Nigeria, not even for the 3 months that I applied for. I got like a long-term stay, which I've been there now for more than 10 years now. And I never had to leave the country to apply for visa, and then this is really this is key to that part of the story actually. So what happened? For some reason, I got the visa, but then the embassy said they need to see my flight ticket ready to leave the country in about 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm like, that's strange. And on the other hand, I'm like, I'm waiting for the visa.
Yeah.
So I can even convince people to support me that I actually have a visa and I need to leave the country. Seeing is believing, right? And so anyway, now I need to send a ticket ready to leave the country.
Yeah.
Oh man, that interview, it says another story, but I don't want to go into it because but maybe for somebody who's for the Nigerian audience, somebody trusting God, this is key maybe for them. So when I got to the interview, I didn't have bank statements, which the embassy always asks for those of you that know. And then when I got there, so she flipped the application. Yeah. It's like, where's the bank statement? I was like, my legs were vibrating down there, and I was acting bold up here. It's like, it's there. So she was getting mad. Yeah. That's fine. So I just said to her, the document in black and white are the photocopies, and the colored printed one are the original bank statement. I don't know if it was her anger or whatever it is. She just separated the phone and she just asked me one more question and she was like, we're done. And then 3 weeks later, I got the email that my visa has been approved. Not just the 3 months I applied for, but a long-term visa.
Wow. So even without the bank statement?
Without the bank statement. You know what I mean?
And that just tells you that this was different. Like
God was just on it. And then so with the visa, with the ticket thing, I didn't have the money. So it was a Muslim guy who I still haven't met till today. This is really where the story gets juicier. He called and he was like, I heard that you need to leave the country, but you don't have money for your ticket. I said, yeah. He was like, here's what I will do for you. I will book your ticket with my company money, and then whenever you have the money, you can pay me back.
Do you know this person?
That's what I'm saying. I've never met him till today.
Yeah, no, wait, when you say, but do you, when he called, like, I'm saying, do you know, are you aware of who he is?
No, I don't know who he is. He just told me that he's a flight agent. That's what I'm trying to say. That when he called, he was like, it's a Muslim, that part I know. Because he said his name.
I mean, even when I said it, well, even that, because I'm like, is this
I know you want to go into the ride.
Did he say he's a Muslim or you just
No, I know that he called, I think he was in Kano or somewhere. He said, my name is Abdullahi Muhammad or something like that. Okay. So I already know that is this thing. I know, like, I don't know, but like, that one I know. And then he was like, I book it for you. Whenever you have the money, you could pay me back. So so he booked the ticket with Qatar Airline actually. So I had to flew out of Lagos.
Okay.
And so that's how I left Nigeria.
So wait. We need to go back to the story. So you booked it. He sent it to you maybe via email or
email. Yeah. So
you have his email.
Yeah, I have.
Have you written to him since?
Like I've written at the time, I even got a number or something.
Yeah.
So I called, and after a while, when I came to Germany, I was able to pay back the money. So I pay him back, but that's
you just don't know who he is.
Till today, I've never met, and I think one of the first time I went back to Nigeria, I tried the number again, it was not going, and I tried to look out, and I don't know. So
interesting.
So I was like, it was a Muslim guy that funded my ticket to Germany to go and do mission. God can use anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's an angel, but anyway, that's interesting. But so that's how I arrived Germany. I arrived this Europe with €5, $2. That's how I left Nigeria with, and 10 years later,
you're still there.
I'm still here, and the Lord have taken me to, I think, about 50 nations.
Amazing. Wow. There's so much that we can get into, and I'm looking at the time there's only so much that we can say like in one YouTube video. But I wanted to sort of bring it to a close, talking about more of like how people can support. Like, so either someone watching and just thinking, you know what, maybe touched by your story, just realizing that actually there's just so much that you know about the Great Commission, and knowing that there's so much that we can do. How can someone who just wants to, I don't just mean support you personally, but that as well, but like how can someone support, like how can we Christians support the work of getting the gospel to the ends of the earth? What can we do apart from going, as well as going out? So just general, like, I
mean, there are 3 ways that people can engage in mission primarily. As I mentioned in the church, if you're a Christian, you're called, you're part of that Great Commission.
Yeah.
But there are different ways that we can express it, you know. If you cannot go there physically, you can at least be praying for those who are on the ground.
Yeah.
I think everybody can do that. Let's even put that. Maybe those who specifically have the ministry of intercession.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a specific thing. And then the other part is the physical going, which is someone like me that is there. You go. And then the third part is the resources, the finances that is needed to, because in my case, I'm serving like full-time in missions and with many other missionaries.
And you don't get paid.
And I don't get paid. So this is where then the support or the monthly support that help us to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And also in addition is, in my own case also, we do a lot of projects in some places where you're not able to share Jesus in words like that.
Yeah, I mean, you were sharing the story yesterday about like the water project in
somewhere in northern Nigeria, you know.
Yeah, and when the imam was then saying amen to your prayers.
And we did a borehole project that gave about over 20,000 people water. And that was the first time they've had water probably in decades. And that opened the door to us to engage and even evangelize in some of these communities. And so these are all prayer, giving and
was it going physically, you said?
Yeah, the support who are there in the field, who have chosen to serve fully in this.
Okay. And now for you specifically, if there's someone watching who just wants to support, who just wants to help you get the word out there more, how can they do that?
Well, right now, since I'm pretty sure they're your audience.
Is that a way
they can reach out? They can reach out to you.
Okay, and then or they put them in touch or something.
Or if there's, I'm always leave like Instagram or something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that as well. Like, how can people connect with you if they wanted to like see what you're doing, what you're up to?
Instagram is a good place. And it's Facebook.
Ezekiel, I'll put it on the screen as well. It's Ezekiel Samaila. Samaila.
Yeah, Samaila.
Samaila.
That's Samuel in English, by the way.
Okay.
Just to save you the stress, yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
but also they can reach you since we're in contact, and then because I just don't want to say like phone number and all of that, so it's public.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if it is someone that reaches out to you, then we can.
So you can leave a comment in the comment section, and I can put you in touch, or you can also reach out to him on like Instagram. I'll put the details in the description. I'll try to put it in the description or also on the screen. But it's Ezekiel Samaila. For those of you who are just listening only. Yeah, this has been so. I know there's just so much that I can ask and I can share, and hopefully, when who knows,
Next
maybe
time
we'll
we
get
can
an
do a part
opportunity.
two.
Yeah, we'll get an opportunity. And if there are any questions that you actually have, there's probably a lot more that you may want to ask him, and maybe that could even bring about like a part 2, or you can leave those comments in the comment section. But I hope this has encouraged you to reach out. I encourage you to do your part in the kingdom. For Ezekiel, the key to it, or the introduction, I guess, to Jesus was just the person that told you that Jesus loved you and offered you food. Food was what mattered to you at that time. You may have there may be people around. Food was the Jesus you needed at the time. And there's so many people around us who need some of the things that we just consider like us. We don't even think. We overlook it. We don't think about it. There's so many, and sometimes we just get bogged down with, how do I go? How do I go? Like, even in the little that we can do, where we're starting from where we are. So I hope this encourages you. Encourages you to partner with God as well, in terms of like any prophecies and promises that He has spoken over your life. What is the part that you have to play in it, or are you just sitting there waiting for all of this to fall on your laps? There's definitely something that you should start doing, and even if it's to prayerfully seek the face of God, to say, God, what do I do right now? Is there something I need to do, or is it you know what, in James, I'm going into preaching with them, but in James,
I've seen you do all the preaching. Normally I do that, but today you're doing it, so that's good.
In James, it talks about faith without works is dead, and I love it because with the way he describes it, it says some of you say, I have works. I have faith, but you have no works, and it says, by my works I will show you my faith. So the question is, if you're saying you have faith, it's just you believe the words that He has spoken over you. What are the works to show that you actually believe the things that you say you believe in? So I'll leave you with that.
And I think in just one sentence, I also just want to add that God is faithful. Whatever He has spoken, hold on to it. Keep waiting for Him, but not just like passively waiting, but actively waiting, whatever that may mean to you. And then lastly, also, never underestimate the power of little acts and little kindness, because sometimes the things you overlooked could be the pathway that brings someone to salvation.
Absolutely.
Just like with the food in my case. And be sensitive, because sometimes we want to bombard Jesus to people, because if this guy was not sensitive enough to realize, okay, let me give him food. If he had insisted, no, I want to evangelize to you, somebody like me might have been missed.
And I remember you even saying that at that time, the way you were so vulnerable, so exposed, you would have accepted anything, anybody that offered you.
I was so vulnerable to and that's why I'm so grateful that it was the missionary that found me first, because I was so exposed, so vulnerable. Anyone could have recruited me into anything and just offer me food, because that was the biggest need. And
it brings perspective to that scripture where it says that the harvest is ready, but the laborers are few. So it was you're literally like a ready.
I was a field that was ready.
Anyway, if you leave us, we'll probably keep going on and on and on. But I hope that this has been a blessing to you. It certainly has been to me as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing with us and pouring your heart out. And thank you for saying yes to Jesus as well. Because of your yes, we're able to benefit from your ministry in this way as well. All right, then. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment in the comment section.
Subscribe, don't forget.
Yes, please subscribe, like this video, and share this video as well. That may be the part that you will play, actually, even in sharing the gospel, even right now where you are. It doesn't cost you anything to share this video with someone. If you've been even struggling with telling people about Jesus, why not just let someone else do the telling? All you need to do is share. All right, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Dankeschön.